Yeah, tell you what, do a weather and ATC check, start listening in on ground control.
Sir, there are still terabytes of calculations needed before an actual flight is advanced.
Jarvis, sometimes you gotta run before you can walk.
Looking back through my older videos, I realized that I've done a lot of thinking about making videos, but not a lot of doing about making them. If I'm gonna run a video channel, I need to make videos. I've been planning and preparing so much for so long. Enough crawling. It's time to run. Etymology break. The phrase, "you gotta run before you can walk," as far as I can tell anyway, really does originate from the Iron Man movie written by Mark Fergus, Hawk Ostby, Art Markham, and Matt Holloway. The phrase, which Tony offers to Jarvis as a confidence booster, is a reference to "gotta walk before you can crawl" from the 2001 remake of Ocean's 11. I don't know if that phrase also appears in the 1960 original, but most likely not, given the tone of that movie compared to the remake. The phrase is a malapropism of the ancient proverb, "you must crawl before you can walk," which attempts to impart the seriousness and necessity of acquiring foundational knowledge, the experience of crawling, upon the impatient listener, who would rather like to walk immediately. End etymology break. In our modern need-it-yesterday society, both of these phrases seem like a nod to fake-it-till-you-make-it culture. But Tony's version, and the context in which he uses it, also has a kernel of truth to it that resonates with a lot of people, including myself. Its simple, catchy phrasing conveys the reality that you could plan an endeavor indefinitely, but never have the data you need to make it truly successful until you actually start doing the work. And that is exactly what I'm kicking off here. So, updates. What's happened since the last video? It's been, what, a month since my last video? That's an absolute eternity in YouTube time. What's changed? Let's go through what the previous video talked about point by point. 1. Number 1 is the retro PCs. I've done some building and testing since the last video, and I'm consolidating the retro PCs in 2 machines instead of 3. A DOS-based machine running on the Pentium MMX, and a Windows-centric system based around the Athlon XP. The K6-2 is fine. It's a perfectly fine processor. Really, it's an extremely impressive feat of engineering for the Socket 7 platform. But it just doesn't make a lot of sense as a retro PC, unless you're looking to run like Quake Engine games using a Voodoo-based 3D accelerator. Because Glide runs really smoothly on this platform, but DirectX and especially OpenGL have just too much overhead for enjoyable frame rates. Then in DOS, the K6 is either incompatible with older games or needs multiplier adjustments to play them at the right speeds. Also, and most significantly, I spent a whole day messing with sound cards, trying to get something that would function reliably in both Windows and MS-DOS. I tried a Sound Blaster 16, an ESS audio drive, and a Yamaha 744-based PCI sound card, with direct DMA support on my motherboard. No dice in all 3 cases. The Sound Blaster and the Ensoniq were great in DOS. Excellent compatibility, they worked every time I tried them. I'm obviously going to move them over to the DOS computer, and I'll figure out which one I like the best as far as sound quality and whatever. But neither appear even as a legacy option in Windows when you're running a direct sound game. They work in a couple of Quake Engine games through a legacy mode that id was kind enough to code into those engines at the time, but that's it. DXDiag doesn't even see them as sound cards. The Yamaha card, which is an AOP and Cobra, was a little bit better since it has direct sound drivers and it has hardware acceleration in Windows. However, getting its legacy block to actually cooperate with 90s era PCI steering and IRQ masking and the direct DMA, that mostly resulted in no FM music from the OPL3 or a locked up, crashed machine when the game tried to initialize sound. So now you can see how much of a headache it is to try and bridge the gap, which is why I'm throwing in the towel and splitting the worlds of DOS and Windows completely, keeping them totally separate. That seems to be the only way to get around the compatibility issues once and for all. I was going to rely mostly on the Pentium and the K6 for my early playthroughs, so now I actually have to build the Athlon. Fortunately, Socket 462 motherboards and old AGP graphics cards are plentiful and cheap these days. Seems like everyone's jumped to Socket 775 and PCI Express for their Windows XP era retro gaming machines. My advantage. So, that's the retro PCs. What else? The capture hardware. I can play the games, but how do I show them to you? Between the previous video and this one, I ordered a scaler that purportedly, according to a long and extremely pedantic thread on Vogons, which shouldn't surprise anyone since they call their site Vogons, should be able to upscale DOS-era analog video to 1080p 60 HDMI, or thereabouts, hopefully. This particular scaler is one of only a handful that can manage the weird refresh rates in 320x200 line-doubled DOS games, and then output a signal over HDMI that normal TVs and capture devices can make sense of. Anyway, I ordered this scaler a few weeks ago, and it got cancelled because of the human malware that's going around. So I finally found another one and reordered it, and it should be here sometime next month, hopefully. Oh, in positive news, here's a sneak peek at the games I'm planning for the first volley. So, next, music. Yes, music. I've done nothing with any of my music stuff since the last video, other than starting Ableton and making sure my MIDI controllers are still functional and all of my presets are set up and everything. Nothing's broken, but I'd like to get my hands on a pad controller before I really dive into Ableton and start making and mixing loops and stuff. I'll probably order that in the next couple of weeks, maybe? I'm shopping used. If you have any recommendations, I am open to them. 3! 3 is, again, what you're seeing and hearing, and you probably already picked up on most of these changes. So, where do I begin? Well, as you can probably hear, I'm closer to the mic now. This is because I picked up a wide-angle lens. I've switched from my vintage Vivitar 35 1.9 to a Vivitar 28 1.9 Series 1. It's not in perfect shape, and because of that I picked it up for a steal, but as you can see, it completely transforms the space. With that change, and it's a major change, it's weird how much 7mm matters at this end of the focal length scale. I also had to rework my key light, and the microphone placement, and my kicker light in the background, which you can see now throws a very artsy little flare into the lens. Classy. You will doubtless have also noticed that this video has B-roll in it, because I picked up a B camera. I bought a used EOS M, and I'm just using that with the M3's kit lens, and the video might go, which floundered so badly on the M3. I followed a viewer recommendation from the Aging Wheels channel, and also picked up a bag of ferrite cores. They really do work miracles when it comes to squelching out high-pitched, whining, squealing, and clicking noises in analog audio sources. Who'da thunk? So, the EOS M for B-roll and vlogging, it's all good. I mean, the video quality out of it's terrible, but it's no worse than the M3's video. Thanks, Canon Cripplehammer. Last but definitely not least is the single most influential update to this little bedroom studio, my teleprompter. Yes, this is why this video is such a sudden and dramatic departure from my previous video. No more jump cuts in the middle of sentences, no more rambling, no more hunting for words. I write what I want to say, and I say what I want to write. Wait. 4! Part 4. Weight loss. I'm doing the thing. That's all I'm going to say about it right now. 5! Reviewing Switch games. Yes, this can technically happen. Will it? I don't know. Probably not. Well, that's not completely true. There are a few games on the system that I keep coming back to that keep holding my attention. I'd like to do a review on those at some point, but I should probably finish playing them first, though. It's 6. I don't have 6 fingers. Number 6 is mermaiding. That hasn't happened since the last video, obviously, what with the lockdown and all. But I'm still getting views on my mermaid videos, as terrible as they are. People want to see them. It's not like I'm going to stop mermaiding. I absolutely love it. I just apparently need to bring my GoPro with me when I go swimming. Alrighty then. The Swimtail Pro still needs to be resized, and it doesn't make a ton of sense to do that right now while I'm actively losing weight. I want to take it swimming with me in Mission Bay, since I think the extra propulsion from the Mahina would be most of use there. The Luna's a nice fin, but it's only just powerful enough for the bay. So the bay is nicest to swim in late in the season, late August through September, when the Pacific Ocean nears its warmest point during the year. So that gives me about 4 to 5 months to slim down as much as I can before I get it resized and go on a maiden swim with it. I'm excited just thinking about it. If that works, I'll relegate my fin funtails to the pool. However, I can swim in those right now because they're significantly stretchier than the Swimtail Pro. Maybe, now that I have a B camera, I could do some dry land stuff with them? I don't know. I don't think of myself as attractive, so... but it'd be neat to show off the tails. They are really pretty. 7! The rest of the video was just rambling and skits, so... I guess, as Gerald Undone would say, alright, I'm done.